Imagine standing on a bloody battlefield in Italy, surrounded by over 2,000 fallen soldiers, with smoke rising into the sky. You look at the grand prize that two powerful city-states just fought the largest military engagement of the Middle Ages to secure. It is not a chest of gold. It is not a crown. It is a wooden well bucket. Yes, a wooden bucket used for scooping dirty water out of a hole in the ground. More than 30,000 men marched into battle, threw spears, swung swords, and gave their lives, all over an oak container. But to understand how reasonable adults arrived at this exact moment of peak human foolishness, we have to rewind. The year was 1325, and northern Italy was divided by a bitter political rivalry. On one side stood the city of Bologna, and on the other stood the city of Modena. They hated each other for decades, but the actual war started over something remarkably petty. A group of Modenese soldiers snuck into the center of Bologna late at night. They did not steal state secrets or kidnap a nobleman. They strolled up to the public well, snatched the wooden bucket, and ran away giggling. When Bologna noticed their bucket was missing, they did not just buy a new one. They demanded its immediate return under threat of full military invasion. Modena laughed and refused. Bologna assembled an army of 32,000 men and marched straight toward Modena to retrieve their stolen property. Modena met them with 7,000 soldiers at the Battle of Zapolino. Outnumbered 4-1, Modena somehow won a decisive victory. They chased the fleeing Bolognese army all the way back to their city gates. But instead of conquering Bologna, the Modenese soldiers did something far more petty. They took a second bucket from outside the city walls, just to rub it in. Modena kept the original bucket, hung it in their cathedral as a trophy, and it remains on display there to this very day, 6 centuries later. If you think fighting over a wooden bucket was bad, let us travel to Mexico in 1838. A French pastry chef named Remontel owned a small bakery in Mexico City. During a period of political unrest, some hungry Mexican officers broke into his shop, ate a bunch of cakes, and left without paying. Chef Remontel asked the Mexican government to reimburse him for the ruined pastries, which were worth roughly 80 pesos. The Mexican government told him to take a hike. Furious, Remontel wrote a letter to King Louis Philippe of France, claiming his rights as a French citizen were violated. The French king decided this was an insult that required immediate military action. King Louis Philippe sent a demand to Mexico for 600,000 pesos in damages. To put that in perspective, a French soldier earned about 2 pesos a month back then. Mexico was essentially being asked to pay for 60,000 royal cakes. When Mexico politely declined to hand over their entire national treasury for some baked goods, France sent an entire naval fleet across the Atlantic Ocean. They blockaded every major port in Mexico, stopping all international trade for months. The Mexican government still refused to pay, so the French Navy opened fire and bombarded the fortress of San Juan de Ulua. An actual war had officially begun over French pastries. To fight off the French Navy, Mexico called back their famous general, Santa Anna. During the heavy cannon battle, Santa Anna was hit by French artillery and lost his leg. The war finally ended when Great Britain stepped in and persuaded Mexico to pay the 600,000 pesos just to make the French fleet go away. Santa Anna actually buried his severed leg with full military honors. If you are enjoying these mind-blowing moments from history, hit the like button and subscribe right now. Mexico paid a fortune. France spent millions on ships, and a general lost his leg, all because a local baker did not get paid 80 pesos for his croissants. Now let us head to 1925 along the tense border between Greece and Bulgaria. Tensions were high after World War I, and soldiers guarded the border with loaded rifles. On an ordinary afternoon, a Greek soldier was playing with his dog near the borderline. Suddenly, the dog spotted something interesting and ran across the boundary post into Bulgarian territory. The Greek soldier loved his pet, so he ran across the border after him, shouting for the dog to come back. The Bulgarian guards saw an enemy soldier sprinting onto their land and opened fire, instantly shooting the Greek soldier. What happened next escalated into full international warfare. When news reached the Greek army, they did not send a diplomat to resolve the misunderstanding. Instead, the Greek commander ordered an immediate invasion of Bulgaria. Thousands of Greek troops crossed the border, occupying several Bulgarian villages, and shelling the town of Petrich. Bulgaria ordered its army not to fight back aggressively, hoping the international community would intervene before things got worse. Meanwhile, over 50 soldiers and civilians lost their lives in the heavy exchange of gunfire. The entire Balkan region was on the brink of another major European conflict, all because a playful dog saw a squirrel and decided to cross an invisible line in the grass. The conflict became known as the War of the Stray Dog. The League of Nations finally intervened, ordering Greece to stop their military advance and pull all troops out of Bulgaria immediately. The League ruled that Greece was the aggressor and ordered them to pay £45,000 in damages to Bulgaria. Greece paid the fine, pulled back their soldiers, and returned home with nothing to show for it. Over 50 families lost loved ones, thousands of lives were disrupted, and 2 nations spent thousands of pounds. All because nobody had a dog leash on that fateful Tuesday afternoon in October. Our final journey takes us to Australia in 1932 for what might be the single most embarrassing conflict in human military history. Over 20,000 giant emus migrated into the farming region of Western Australia. These bird giants were 6 feet tall, ran at 35 miles per hour, and ate every crop in sight. The desperate farmers asked the Australian government for help. Instead of sending pest control, the Minister of Defense deployed actual military soldiers, equipped with heavy machine guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. The military announced they were going to war against the birds, confident it would be an easy and swift victory. The military quickly realized they were drastically outmatched. The emus used surprisingly brilliant guerrilla warfare tactics. They split into small groups, appointed scout birds to watch for soldiers, and sprinted away in chaotic patterns as soon as firing began. Machine guns jammed, trucks broke down in the rough terrain, and after firing thousands of rounds, the military managed to eliminate only a handful of birds. The commander famously noted that if his army had a division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it could face any army in the world. The military officially surrendered, leaving the emus in complete control of the Australian outback. Looking back at these wild stories, it is easy to laugh at historical leaders fighting over buckets, pastries, dogs, and birds. But these ridiculous wars reveal a surprisingly relevant truth about human nature that still affects us today. Pride, stubbornness, and tiny miscommunications often drive huge conflicts. Whether it is political leaders escalating Twitter arguments today, or people destroying relationships over minor petty disagreements, human ego has a dangerous habit of turning small problems into massive disasters. The moment we value winning an argument over common sense, we are not much different than those soldiers marching into battle over a stolen wooden bucket. History proves that humanity is capable of incredible brilliance, but also unbelievable absurdity. Next time you feel an argument escalating over something small, remember Santa Anna losing a leg over uncollected cake money, or an army losing a war to large flightless birds. Which of these dumb wars shocked you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let us know what crazy historical event you want us to cover in the next video. If you learned something new and had a good laugh, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell for more wild true stories. Until next time, stay curious.